time, and we have tons of great information. So who are we? Most of you, unless you've known me for a long time, probably have never heard of R.I.C Market Foundation. And so R.I.C Market Foundation, I actually started with an idea. A little girl in Detroit, Michigan. Growing up there, I noticed that our stores were, in our neighborhood at least, were a lot of times they were dirty and cost more. And as a little girl, that just didn't make sense. So I remember asking my mom one day, like, why are our stores dirty and why do they smell? And if people in the city are poor, shouldn't the food cost less? And she said, well, they kind of got a captive audience. And so, because if you know the history of Detroit, transportation was not designed for people without cars. So it was hard to get around. So you're kind of locked into your neighborhood. And she said, stores don't do better because they don't have to. They really have a captive audience. And I told her, well, when I grow up, I'm going to open up a free store for poor people, to which she responded, you won't be in business very long. So I took that as a challenge. And in high school, I actually worked at the Detroit Science Center. And I remember getting ready to clock in one day and looking and seeing, oh, this is a nonprofit. So I don't have to open a free grocery store. I can open a nonprofit grocery store. So at the time I said, well, when I get old, probably about 40 and I'm rich and I'm retired, I'm going to open up this free grocery store. Well, I've kind of passed 40 and I am old, but I'm not retired and I'm not rich, but I did go to graduate school. I do have an MBA and I actually wrote my entrance essay on, when I retired, I'm going to open up this grocery store. So throughout life, I've had a lot of experiences, have a lot of experience in consulting and knew that one day I wanted to do this. And actually someone encouraged me to say, like, why not today? So literally back around 2012, 2013, I started working on the idea. We became a nonprofit in 2014. And what we are working on is, so we have a couple of goals. We want to end food insecurity. We believe that it is possible to come up with a long-term solution to end food insecurity, but it's not going to come from one person or one organization, which is why we're so happy to partner with Nourish Up. But if we all work together, we can definitely find a way, because we produce enough food today. We have for decades. It's just a matter of making sure people get it. And we also produce a lot of very unhealthy foods. And we don't train, like if you're in school, very rarely is nutrition offered unless you are specifically, and a lot of times it's not until you get to college that you have an opportunity to really take nutrition and health classes. So we want to make sure that we do that. We also know there's a social justice component. And so we want to work on, and I know a lot of diversity issues are very hot topics now, but historically, if we want to be factual, we know that a lot of neighborhoods where Black and brown people exist were designed the way they were and just don't have the same, have never had the same resources that other communities have had. And so if we want to address the issue, we have to look at that. We also believe that we can help upward mobility. And so, go ahead and talk a little louder. And so we want to address upward mobility. And so we believe that we want to open a grocery store. If you're not in Charlotte, we say full service, which really means a major grocery store. So here in Charlotte, that would be like a Publix or a Harris Teeter. We believe we can do that in a way that brings jobs, that we can train at all levels. So not just come in and be a store clerk, but we want to train the community to own and operate the store. And so eventually be able to turn that store up over to the community. And then also climate. So climate is impacted by food, but food also impacts climate. And that's through waste, miles traveled, a lot of different things. So, and then I won't train the slide, but so basically who we are, I kind of talked about my backstory. Here are our goals. Today's class, so one of the things we believe is that we can help to build health communities. And so we do that and I believe that in order to address food insecurity, you have to address access, affordability, and education. So this is part of the education until we get the store open. So thank you for joining us. today's class. So we want to provide health and wellness education and activities. We're going to teach how to prepare a healthy breakfast. So our chef will help us with that. If you come to our second class, we're going to do a lunch, and our third class, we'll do a dinner. And then we're going to share nutrition education, discuss alcohol and substance abuse and how it impacts our health. And I just want to do a quick plug on that. So we have a wonderful partner with the Mecklenburg ABC board, which really we wouldn't have been able to do this without them. And they have a community health and wellness grant. And so actually for years, I've kind of have gotten the invite to apply for the grant. And I kept thinking like, not really. Like, I don't think we could apply, but you'll hear me later talk about my mom, and she's kind of the reason we do this. And I remember when I went to the presentation, they did a community event to kind of explain, what the grant was about. And, I'm like, So we already were doing a cancer event, and we were helping cancer patients and survivors. And so I thought about my mom, and one day we went to the doctor, and she had been diagnosed with lung cancer and breast cancer. And so she was talking to the doctor because they were prescribing some really heavy drugs. And I was like, she was a little leery. And so she said to the doctor, I don't want to be an addict. And the doctor said, we're trying to save your life. We'll worry about that. And that kind of rang in my head. So I went and did some research and found out that there really is a strong correlation between alcohol and substance abuse and cancer patients. And so we thought it would be wonderful to combine those. And so you'll see it sprinkled throughout the class. So with that, so we're going to do a real quick you guys can read this later, but Tammy is going to cover our mental health. I am really facilitating. And then Chaside is our nutritionist, and Chef Dennis over there is going to do our demo. And so just a disclaimer, the information provided in these health and wellness classes is for educational and supportive purpose only. It is not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your medical care, diet, or wellness routine. Participation in these classes are voluntary, and attendees assume full responsibility for their own health and well-being. Any questions? So we want to partner, we do not want to replace. So I'm going to turn it over to Tammy and sit down for a second.
Good morning. I'm Tammy Broadaway. I'm the owner of Innovative Counseling Services. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor and also a licensed clinical addiction counselor. And I want to talk to you about what is wellness. Does anyone want to tell me what is wellness? Or like, what is your wellness? So wellness is, did you want to answer? Okay. Yes, your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. That's what wellness is. So sometimes when one of those gets out of line, there's 8 dimensions of mental wellness. It's like your finances, emotional, connections to community is one, a big one. Healthcare, I don't have my slides up, so I'm going by memory. Finances is important because one of these things gets out of balance. What happens? We become stressed, right? And we're not able to maintain that balance. So sometimes people seek what? They seek some kind of self-medication. Even if you're on prescription medication, you take like more pain medicine than you should, you're still self-medicating if you're not taking it as prescribed. There's pain management clinics now. If your pain's not controlled, I encourage you to go to one of those and just see, because you shouldn't have to be in pain, but don't drink alcohol, smoke a little of this, because people are like, I self-medicate myself. Let me see the next slide, please. And it is, like you said, your overall well-being. That's one of them important. Finding meaning in life is important, because some people, it seems like they have everything. They come to me on their everything, like their finances, they have travel, they have all the resources they want, but they're still not happy. Finding meaning in life. I encourage everyone to find a hobby or serve others, something where you find meaning in life and connect to other people. A big thing too is, will it matter tomorrow? Sometimes we get all upset and bent out of shape. Have you ever done that? And then later you like, That wouldn't even work my time, you know, or it worked out. That's when we have that anxiety or chatter talking to us and feeling overwhelmed by small setbacks. Will it matter tomorrow? And that's my I want everybody to take on. Will it matter tomorrow? You know, sometimes kids might not be doing what they need to, but it works out. If you see that, you believe in spirituality, it'll work out. And finding purpose in life, like Angela's shared her purpose. What's your purpose? Mine is helping people become the best version of themselves. It's serving some kind of way. I think we all should give back some kind of way, even if it's like donating my clothes or spending a little time at a place like Nourish. How can you give back to others and make yourself feel fulfilled? The next slide is dealing with life stressors. Who can tell me how you deal with stress in here? What do you do? You're stressed out. Pray? Journal? Sleep? How do you remove it?
Like a person.
Yeah. So what if you really like your job? That's rare. So what we want to develop also is coping skills, because sometimes our family really gets on our nerves, right? Can we cut them off? Should we cut them off? Yeah. Yes. Deep breathing. And that's an exercise you can do. I also encourage people, when you wake up in the morning, if you find yourself like hitting the floor running every day, don't do that. And grabbing the phone. Take a minute to be like, what is my purpose today? What am I thankful of? Just have some time for yourself. That moment. Because if you're a caregiver, when you get up, it starts, right? And all day long, you're caring for somebody else. How do you take time to care for yourself? Same thing at night. Now, sleep is good, but don't sleep all the time. Yes. You can't sleep away your stress all the time. Because when you wake up, guess what? It's still there. The situation is still there. So, healthy coping strategies, the deep breathing, yoga, going for a walk. Find something that's going to release those energy particles in you to recharge you, because we all need to recharge our battery. Sometimes when you talk to somebody, you might be like, "Ooh, I need to go sleep," or I need to go decompress. It's good to find a healthy way to do that. Drinking teas, healthy things. We don't want to just say, some people do self-medicate. Is that, I'm not judging them, but is that the best way to, like, the drinking and the smoking? Because when you come back down from that high, the problems are still there. Alternatives for healthy substance abuse. So we named a few. What are some more things we can do to kind of really connect with other people? Community. Does everyone in here have a place where they connect to community? Because isolation can also lead to depressive thoughts and unhappiness. So it could be your church, it could be a friendship group, a walking group, because they have those at the mall. There are a lot of things that are free. At Northlake and Athletics, they do Zumba on Sundays. And these are free things we can connect to.
And I just wanted to jump in and
Yes.
say, for our chat people online, feel free to add or answer any
Oh, yes, I forgot about
things.
that.
And Sharon is monitoring the chat. So
Okay,
if
thank
something
you.
pops up, she'll chime in.
Okay, healthy alternatives. Working out, that's my thing. Like, I was going every day at 6 o'clock. So then I was like, ooh, you know, I need some sleep too. So I pushed it back to 7, but I found when I didn't do that, it kind of offset my day, or my day didn't go right. I like, what can I do at night to get this going? Physical activities, like we said, exercise, yoga, dancing. There's line dancing classes all over Charlotte now that are free if you want to get into that. Creative outlets, journaling, you mentioned that. Art, you can color. Does anyone in here color? Yes. It's very relaxing and just something you can do. Pick up your crayons or your markers, and that's something my mom likes to do. She's got all these coloring books that she works on. Mindfulness, the deep breathing. There's a lot of YouTube videos now, like, do I need to sleep? YouTube for sleep. If I'm feeling anxious, there's videos you can tap into. Free things again. Social support, our family, our friends, and I mentioned the community engagement, a healthy routine. Can you function on 4 hours of sleep consistently? The work's gonna be off. How often do you sleep? Yes, you, I saw your face. So you get enough sleep?
Yes,
Okay.
but I sleep
Mhm. So if you do have an iPhone or a watch, I think Galaxy probably has it too, Samsung, but it'll monitor your sleep, like did you get into a deep sleep? Again, that's something,
it tells you like you can have healthy.
yeah, healthy patterns, it does do that. Something else you can do, is like nutrition. Some people, a lot of people, especially young people, I don't eat breakfast, I just don't do it. But then what do you eat for lunch? You know, are you pouring junk into your body? Because our body is like a car. That's what I tell people. What you put in it is what you get out of it. Put cheap gas, what's gonna happen? It's not gonna run well, you're gonna run out of energy. And I don't know how many people here find themselves in a slump around 3 o'clock in the day, 2 or 3, you just feel like my energy is gone. I did. So what you can do is eat an orange, some kind of citrus fruit, or smell it. It'll give you a boost, like a natural boost. So that's something I practice myself. Try not to schedule a lot around that time because it's like, I need to regroup for the day and start back with my next sessions. What else did I have? Yes.
I
Yes.
just want to say, in the morning, when I get up, I sit at my table and I can look out my window and I watch nature. I eat my breakfast, I see the birds and just bees, and you can see God's give you, and it's such a relaxing way to level you up in the morning, plus to give you time to get yourself together. And once I do that, I can check on people, I can call them, cheer them up. I'm ready for a new day, but that enabled me to be prepared for another.
Yes.
I just want.
And that's a good hobby too, watching birds. Some people name their plants. Like I had some trees up, I took them down, so the birds would always come. So I was gonna take a light down and I backed out and there's a bird looking at me like. So I'm gonna leave his nest there. I'm sure they're either hatched or they're hatching, but they kind of come back around. If you notice that about your house or your surroundings, and put something out there that'll attract them. Like some people like hummingbirds, so they'll put out, they're at the Dollar Tree, you can get the little nectar and just watch them come, and they'll come. Yeah, and sometimes they can predict patterns, right? Like when you see, if you really know birds, it's gonna rain or it's about to snow.
Yeah.
People said that, yeah,
It warns.
yes.
God's nature will let you know something is happening. If you watch them,
Yes,
they're prepared.
they will. And it's a good hobby, like you said. Even going to a park by yourself sometimes, it can center you. They call it grounding. How many people walk outside without their shoes on now? I know we have. How many people have ever walked outside with no shoes? How many people do it now? But they call it grounding, like if you go outside in grass and just walk around and just take some deep breaths, it'll center you. And that it's a practice now for mental health. So those are some healthy alternatives we want to do to self-medication. Oh, medication minute. I wanted to take everyone to do this. I hope it plays.
Begin by taking a deep breath and hold it for 5 seconds. Exhale and relax. Take another deep breath, as deep as you can, and hold it. Count for a second. And as you exhale, just imagine blowing out all of your stress. Take a third deep breath and hold it. And as you exhale, blow out any stress you've been holding on to, saying to yourself, relax now. This is your new solution to stress. Whenever you become stressed in the future, you simply take 3 fully in and deep breaths, holding it at the top of the inhalation for 5 seconds. And when you exhale, blow out any stresses that you feel. And on the third breath, as you exhale, you simply say to yourself, relax now. Namaste.
Do that for 30 days. Some people are more technical and they want to do it on their phone. And there's also a resource guide in the back for anything starting family, youth, child care, just a Mecklenburg County resource guide. So keep that handy and share it with others if you like. And thank you. That is my presentation for today.
All right. Thank you. All right, so, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna speed up a little bit. So we want to talk a little bit about the benefits of indoor gardening. And so, as I said, everyone in class today will receive a little hydroponics kit. And so you will be able to grow an herb. And I really encourage you guys when you if you're not familiar, because we have some that I actually had never heard of. And next week we actually have a herbologist. So we hope you will come and join us. So she'll get much more into kind of the different herbs, but just some of the quick benefits. We know that indoor gardening can improve air quality. It's gentle physical activity. So just really, especially if you have a bunch of plants, getting up every day, watering them, walking around, it's good to talk to them. Stress reduction. And so someone mentioned nature has its own calming effects, and then healthier eating. So growing herbs, you right there, you can add those herbs to your meals, and then you can even grow tomatoes indoors. So a lot of healthy things that can come from indoor gardening. So I'm gonna turn it over to Chastity.
Thank you. I can control my own slides too. So my name is Chastity, the Community Outreach Director here at Nourish Up. I'm also a dietitian, so I can talk about food all day long. I'm kind of zenned out now because of Tammy's video, which was great because that was kind of stressful. I became IT lady for a second and I was like, whoa, this is a lot. So I feel a lot better. Let some stress go out. Let's just have a good class and talk about the benefits of having a healthy diet. I also just want to show everybody our tower garden that we just got. And we actually use this to serve individuals in the community, but it's one of those little, if you're not so good with gardening like myself, I've been able to learn and watch these plants grow. And that is kind of calming and really cool to me because I'm like, wow, I didn't put in a ton of work, but I get to see that my own kale is growing or our own lettuce is growing or our own cilantro is growing. And then you might hear it water itself it usually waters itself in 45 minutes. So if you hear a little trickle, it's that we're not leaving any water running. But I'm going to talk today about nutrition and how a healthy diet really does contribute to our overall mental health. But also if you are undergoing substance abuse or cancer and how diet really makes a huge difference with symptoms that you might experience. So the first thing I want to talk about is a word called antioxidant rich foods. So antioxidant is the word there. And they're kind of like the superheroes within different foods. So your vitamins, your minerals, vitamin C, beta carotene comes from a carrot, if you've ever heard of that. They're these little, I call them superheroes because they really fight what we call oxidative stress off to help us feel better. And so oxidative stress is going to be something that is damaging to your body. It's a stressor. It's literally stressing your body. So think of cigarette smoke or pollution or anything that is getting into your body and it's working against all of the great systems that we have within our body to make us feel better. Antioxidants are those superheroes. They're the Batman, the Superman, Catwoman. I had to throw a female in there that help us to feel, even though if Catwoman isn't a good, anyways, never mind. They're all the things that help us feel better and help us fight disease and help us fight addictions and help us fight things that are meant to not help us feel good. So antioxidants are very rich in our fruits and vegetables. So that kind of goes back to even gardening, right? Growing your own fruits and vegetables. What I always recommend for people is have a variety of those fruits and vegetables because the more that you expose yourself to fruits and vegetables, the more variety you receive. So if you only eat broccoli every day, you're only going to get what broccoli offers. If you only eat lettuce every day, you're only going to get what lettuce offers. If you eat lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, mustard greens. You're exposing your body to so many different antioxidants, which is going to help build your immune system. It's going to help fight off disease, and it's going to help you feel better ultimately. So adequate protein. Is there anyone in here who's vegetarian or anyone online who's vegetarian, doesn't eat meat? Cool. I also eat meat, so no shade. But I said that because a lot of times with vegetarians, they have a hard time finding a protein option. If you eat meat, that is your protein right there. So lean chicken, such as chicken breast or chicken tenders, fish, like salmon is so good for you. It has these healthy fats that are made to, healthy fats are kind of like the insulation of our body. They kind of protect us from, again, different stressors, but also they help to rebuild layers of tissue, layers of cells within our bodies. So those healthy fats, they help to repair a lot. So it's really like the comfort source. If you think of fat and what it looks like, it offers that extra cushion, right? So that's where we get a lot of those healthy benefits from those healthy fats. Other protein sources would be beans. A lot of people forget about beans, which is they're basically a vegetable. They're a legume, they grow, right? So they have so many health benefits, such as fiber, like that regulates your guts, make you go to the bathroom on a regular TMI, on a regular schedule routine, right? That's part of your routine, to use the restroom and to digest properly, to help your gut feel better and fight off any inflammation. Adequate protein also helps a lot with immune function in general, because protein are like the building blocks of our body. So if you think of protein, I almost like to describe it like a Lego. Like they're little blocks that you put together to rebuild your system and your immune system back up. So having that adequate protein, making sure you're eating a well-rounded diet with your protein, your fruits, your vegetables, you're really adding in a lot of support to keep your body healthy. Avoiding processed foods and excess sugar, which is so hard in the climate that we live in, right? Everything is processed because we want everything quick, fast, in a microwave or in your air fryer. But specifically, you want to be cautious of this. If you are, I say this with any healthy diet, but if you are undergoing treatment or if you are trying to heal yourself, avoiding processed foods is going to be so helpful, because there are a lot of things in processed foods that are just byproducts of making that food. So going back to oxidative stress, when you create certain type of convenient foods, they are put through a processing that might create this chemical byproduct. And that is not always the best for our body. Our bodies are built to fight it, and our bodies are built to withstand it. But we all know a little too much of anything is not great. So reducing it as much as you can is the first step. And that doesn't have to be that you go grow every single thing and only buy organic, or only eat things where you know where it came from. It's a great start. And if you have the resources, great. But just one thing at a time. If you can prepare it yourself instead of getting it from a restaurant or getting it from a packaged box where you put it in the microwave for 30 seconds, you've already done some good work for your body. And then minimizing added sugar. So does anyone know, and if you know online, you can also put that in the chat. Does anybody know what to look for on a nutrition label when you're trying to see if there are added sugars? Can someone say what it says? Yes, I think your wheels are turning. Uh-huh. Mhm. So some items naturally have sugar, right? Like an orange is naturally going to have sugar. You really can't get around that. But there's going to be a line on the back of your label under carbohydrates. It's going to say total carbohydrates, and it's going to say added sugars. That is sugar they literally added into that product. That is what we want to minimize. So when you're looking, I encourage you, when you're going grocery shopping or you're looking at different foods, I encourage you to twist the package around, look at your nutrition label, and see if you can spot the total added sugars, because that means that they have added some type of sweetener into that product. And so again, just kind of covering some nutrition for everyone that's appropriate, but specifically for substance abuse and maybe even going through treatment. You're definitely going to want to make sure you eat multiple meals a day, because with your metabolism, when you eat certain meals and you're training your metabolism, your body responds to that routine that you've given it. So if your body is used to you eating one big meal at 2 o'clock, Monday through Sunday, guess what? It's going to be trained that way, and it's going to hold on to things. It's not going to break down foods as properly. We're not going to recover from things as properly because it is used to you just having that one meal at 2 o'clock, Monday through Sunday. The more that you train your body to take more food in, it'll start to realize, okay, Chastity's going to feed me in probably another 2 hours. So let me go ahead and start breaking this food down. Let me go ahead and start turning over these nutrients, breaking them down, sending it through her bloodstream so I can make her feel full, give her energy for the next part of her day. So I do encourage multiple meals. However many that is for you is different per person. I'm a 2 meals type of gal. My mom could eat 5 and she's smaller than me, honestly. I don't know where she stores it, but she has trained her body to break down. Let's get ready let's make some more space for the next meal that we have. I talked about healthy fats, but that also contributes a lot to our brain health as well and brain function. Our brain, if you imagine what a brain looks like if you have seen it on a cartoon or something like that, it looks kind of fatty, right? Like it looks kind of moist and like you can probably, anyways, I'm not going to keep painting the picture of what a brain looks like, but a brain is, majority of it has a lot of fat. And so those healthy fats that we get from salmon, that we get from almonds, peanuts, sesame seeds, we also get healthy fats from beans. Those fats are going to ultimately strengthen your brain function and make it so it is well developed and able to do all of the things that you needed to do. And definitely always stay hydrated. I cannot stress enough how important it is to stay hydrated. Drink your water and make sure you're doing that on a regular schedule because we are made of water. Most of our body it has a high content of water. So you always want to replenish that water. And we get it from the vegetables and fruit that we eat, but you still want to be able to replenish that and put it into your body yourself because it's the way most of our functions prosper. It's the way that we breathe, having water. So make sure you are staying hydrated. Make sure we're replacing those electrolytes because a lot of your organs, your kidneys, your liver, it helps they thrive off those minerals that we're putting back into our body. And then lastly, I'll end with, because we talked about the herb kit that we're going to get today, and we talked a little bit about how gardening is important. So I just want to give some examples of some fresh herbs that you can use as part of your nutrition that are also kind of medicinal. They also kind of help to make you feel better. So cinnamon is very anti-inflammatory. I think a lot of people know that. My mom, I promise you, my mom will take a teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of turmeric every morning when she wakes up. And my mom actually has MS, so it helps a lot with her inflammation. And we've noticed that over time, using it consistently has really helped with a lot of her inflammation. Garlic is a huge medicinal food flavor aromatic. It helps, there is some limited research of helping to prevent cancer, but I think overall it's again strengthening that immune system. It's helping with these different systems that we have going on. And then it's offering plenty of nutrients because it's grown, right? Ginger is very helpful with nausea. So if you're taking some different types of medication that might maybe be throwing off your taste or your smell, ginger is really, really helpful for that. And they make ginger chews now. You can find some with no sugar added. But going back to my mama will literally, she has a piece of ginger that sits on her counter like this, and she takes a bite of it. She doesn't play about her supplements. Turmeric, once again, that I mentioned, and then also peppermint. Peppermint helps a lot with digestion. So getting that bloated, upset stomach feeling, peppermint is super helpful for that. So you could do a peppermint tea, especially if you like tea or you like coffee, kind of switching over to maybe a peppermint tea is very helpful as well.
And just want to point out to the bags you received today, the ginger people sent us free samples. And so you'll also notice on your desk that they sent some handouts as well as a free coupon for their products, I think up to $5 or $6. So we're very excited about that. Yeah. And so we just want to do a quick video.
Nutrition 101. Nutrition is a subject that is so important to our health and well-being. Having a nutritious and balanced diet can help you maintain a healthy weight, and decrease your risk of diseases such as type 2 diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, cardiovascular disease, and some cancers. Eating healthy can be confusing and challenging, but we are here to simplify it for you. Choose healthy foods the majority of the time and limit the amount of unhealthy foods you consume. Eat a variety of foods to get all the vitamins and nutrients that your body needs. Healthy foods are those in their most natural state, like fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and legumes. Try to limit consumption of carbohydrates made from white flour and eat whole grains like brown rice, oatmeal, and whole grain breads. Eat lean meats such as chicken or fish. Reduce your consumption of red meat to 2 or less times per week. Eat healthy fats that can be found in foods like avocados, fish, nuts, olive oil, and seeds. And last, stay hydrated by drinking water instead of beverages high in sugar like soda and juice. Making small changes in your diet can go a long way, and it's much easier than you think.
Right. So basically, they just summarized what Chastity said.
Really good.
And then this one, quick video.
Around the world today, physicians find themselves treating more diet-related disease than ever before in recent history. The so-called Western diet has been implicated as the major contributor to our modern epidemics of disease.
We don't actually know what about the Western diet is creating the problems. But what we do know with a great deal of confidence is that populations who eat this diet, and it's normally defined as a diet high in meat, high in processed foods, with very little whole grains, very little fruits and vegetables, that populations who eat that way have very high rates of chronic disease.
When you think about the increasing rates of obesity and diabetes, you could really think of it as a tsunami wave off the coast. It's enormous. Physicians nowadays, more than ever, need to advise patients about food. Which foods to eat more of or less of and why. How to shop for, prepare, cook, enjoy healthy, delicious foods. Not just nutrition facts, not biochemistry, but food.
For the most part, we are living in the same food environment as our patients. By examining our own eating behaviors and better understanding the challenges we all face as we try to protect our health, physicians can gain the skills they need to optimize their own health and help protect the health of their patients.
And so I included that because it's actually from Stanford Medical School. So it's a video they're showing their doctors because they're realizing that we shouldn't just be treating outcomes, that we need to look at what caused those outcomes. And a lot of it goes back to our diet and exercise. And so getting doctors to not just write scripts, but really to figure out what are you eating and how can that change. And so I know I grew up in the prescription generation. And so you got high blood pressure, here's a prescription. You got diabetes, here's some medicine. And we really need to start to think about what led to that. And sometimes it's genetics, but a lot of times in this country, it is what we consume. And so we can make changes that will prevent us from ever needing, or if we're on those things, how do we get off of those medications? So, and then the last one, Chastity's going to talk about real quick.
So there's a website called myplate.gov, if anybody wants to write that down. It is basically, I'll send you
And there's the slide in your booklet.
Yeah. So myplate.gov is actually, that is our guidelines for how we should eat and kind of what's recommended based on what is going on in America. But I'll leave you with this, but there are so many different resources on the website. You can track your calories. You can see, if that's what you're into, you can track your calories. You can see different recipes. But the main thing that they focus on is us getting food from the 5 food groups, which are fruit, vegetables. Does anyone know another one? Online, can't answer because you can see it. Protein, grains, and dairy is the last one. And so the way that looks might be a little bit differently for everybody, but even with me, when I'm making meals, I always try to have a vegetable. I always try to have a fruit for my snack. I always try to have protein with my meal, some type of healthy grain like brown rice or whole wheat pasta or wheat toast. And then dairy options might be some low-fat cheese or some Greek yogurt, which will also help with your gut and offering you more protein. So.
All right, and then there are a couple of slides. We're probably gonna, oops, sorry, thank you. So basically, this was Gordon Ramsay. He did this during the pandemic, but it's talking about hand washing. And I always, before we're getting ready to switch over to chef, the importance of hand washing before you prepare a meal, even when you're doing it for yourself, you don't want to contaminate anything. So we're not going to watch the video. I'll send it out. You guys can do that. So real quick, we're going to do a survey and I'm going to put it up online as well. So what type of grits are there? You guys can shout them out or put.
It's.
Hominy. All right. So instant hominy. Quick grits. And so, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about them. So what are some of your favorites? Quick or instant? All right, we got one hominy online. Stone ground is another. And I'm going to tell you, we tried to, something in the poll, we tried to bring in some stone ground grits. They're hard to find. I just would like to let y'all know that. They were hard to find. And so, we looked at a couple places online that said they had them. And then when we got to the store, they did not have them. So, yep, change that.
Oh, okay. Don't make me share the result.
Yeah, just close it out. So this is also in your book, and I know you can't see it on here, but basically it just kind of breaks down for people online the different types of grits, what kind of how healthy they are, and some of the health benefits. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what page is that.
It's 30. It's 22.
22. Yeah, on page 22, you can see the chart. So I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time. And we are now getting ready to click on. We're going to switch over to our chef. So Chef Dennis is going to do a quick cooking demo. Yes, that would be you.
We go.
And I did while he's walking up, there was another video that we're not gonna play, but has anybody heard the term mise en place? Mise en place. It is a French term, and if you work in the restaurant industry, it means basically everything in its place. And so a lot of times if you ever see cooking shows, you'll notice that they already have everything pre-measured out. And that is a practice in the industry because you don't want to be in the middle of a meal and find out I don't have garlic or I don't have something. Plus, it also helps them to expedite, and chef can jump in because he's the expert. But it also helps them to expedite, because you're not running around. So it's a cute little video. Like I said, you guys can go back and watch it. But we're going to turn it over to our chef now. Oh, you guys switch cameras.
Oh,
yes.
I thought you wanted me to show the recipe. Okay.
So we're going to switch cameras and turn it.
Stand around up here. It's not a problem. So feel free. There we go. I guess we got quick cook grits. And the recipe for this is in your box. Not your box. Where you're. Oh,
you can.
So.
We can't do it.
One is the grits. Spinach.
Look at your dad.
Hold
on, your dad.
Olive oil to the pan. I think this morning while we're discussing things, so. You guys are the right. I cut stems off my spinach. It's a lot of veggies. There's a lot of vitamins in that veggie. So you take the stems and lose out some good things. So with that being said, I did make some quick cook grits. I had made some to keep in a cool in the refrigerator, then I would take them out. They would be in I guess, sheet pan per se, and I would cut out. I normally, like I said, I would cook my grits and cool them in the refrigerator. Let's just say overnight, and then I would lay them out on the sheet pan, and I would cut out a little cute design for it, pan fried on both sides, and then I would dress it with the items that we're doing. But I was told not to do that. I'm not gonna say this. So I got my pan going hot. They want me to stick to strictly to the menu, the recipe. But feel free to add in or whatever. I know you're not supposed to put cheese in them and bacon and chives and all that butter and stuff, but.
So we said, because we know the chef is hard to follow directions, and we said that we would let our dietitian talk about what happens when we add in cheese and bacon and
The good stuff.
butter.
Oh,
Yeah.
should I, okay.
You can tell them.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what do you all like in your grits? I mean, I will be the first to say cheese is dairy, right?
It is.
We might wanna look for a lower fat cheese, so typically maybe if you like a Parmesan grit, that's a little bit less fat, coming from Parmesan and maybe like sharp cheddars. But it all depends. I would not add sugar. For those of y'all who like sugar in your grits, I'm judging you. No, I'm judging. I'm not a sugary type of person, but it's also probably not the best. So maybe finding some of those fresh herbs to give you that flavor would be a good alternative. Yeah, it just kind of depends on what flavor you prefer.
So piggybacking off of that, I went ahead and added my garlic to my pan. So I'm making actually garlic oil, getting a fragrance releasing the garlic. And once I get it going, drop in my spinach not too soon afterwards. I went ahead and I chopped these cherry tomatoes in half and then I cut them into little squares basically, just so it cooks quicker. So to the pan, my next item, spinach.
You're in the field. Now you have to have salt in your grits though.
So I would
It's
add,
optional. It's optional. You can wait and put it on them once they're cooked, but
that's what I recommend, is waiting to put it on after it's cooked, because if you try to taste and cook and if you try to add and taste, you're gonna end up putting so much salt that you didn't even realize how much salt you put in. Whereas after it's prepared and it's finished, then you garnish with your salt just to give you that little kick. Salt does really bring in all of the flavors together at the end. I'm not the chef, but I do recommend adding it in at the end of your meal after it's finished.
and I use kosher. Yes, you can chop it or you can leave it whole if you so will choose it. It's just gonna be just a little longer. Because spinach is basically water. So there's that. And I don't use regular table salt, I use kosher. So that also helps you out. So originally we were gonna have our students, we were gonna set you guys up in 3 groups for the 3 classes, and the first group would cook today. Because the chef job is not to cook. The chef is not supposed to be cooking. I have to control the fires in the kitchen, so I need to make sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. And then I'll hire me what would I hire so that I don't have to do it? Oh, yeah, so, this is what I'm talking about. All right, yes. So the sous chef, that's his job, so I can sit in the office and play on the game and make recipes. All right, so I'm keep looking up like it's a camera looking over, so there are my cherry tomatoes over the mess. And if you're doing it at home, I would wait to add the salt because the salt is gonna make the tomato really thought they do that well. Gonna have a little sauce for it. I picked the colored tomatoes, the multicolored, because I think it looks much better than just red. But guys got red tomatoes coming, but it's no different other than the colors.
Yeah, so in your bag, when you leave today, you will have a kind of everything to make the recipe. A little olive oil, some garlic, tomatoes, and spinach. While he's doing that, one of the reasons we picked this is because this has benefits for people who have either actively going through cancer treatment or cancer survivors, or also we talked about garlic for prevention of cancer. Swiss, I had never, actually, I'm be honest, I don't eat ribs, so, yeah, sorry. I know. But I had never heard of this, and I thought it was a very interesting way to get vegetables in your breakfast as well, so.
Steph, I have a question.
Right, yes.
Do you add salt to the water before you add the grits?
No, I don't, but it's optional. It's optional. It'll tell you on the back of the grits pack. It's optional. Some people do it, some people don't.
I don't have how much different in. Use that for recipes or not the same? Cost the same amount.
Yeah, it costs the same, but it's not the same flavor.
Okay.
You lose a lot. Oh, yeah, I buy it in garlic. I like it a lot better. And I saw a trick on opening a regular little clove of garlic where you stick a spoon in and you pull it out and you never have to take off the skin.
Looks like what?
Don't think my staff would like that. Walmart, it's usually sold on the side of the potatoes. They usually have those little garlics up there. If you go around on the side, because it's so big. And people like, it's the perfect thing to get because it's just a lot more garlic. It's bigger. Yeah, it's a bigger clove. Yeah, it's a lot bigger. And I think it usually costs about anywhere from $1.99 to $2.50. But now with inflation and stuff that's happening, it might be $10 tomorrow, but it lasts and it lasts. And then with your garlic that you might receive today, you can always take off that one piece and then drop that clove in the ground. And then let them grow out. And then you have garlic, same with the ginger and turmeric. Yeah, you can, but you don't want it, the way they do it, it seems like they always take it and stick it in water and wait for it to root. I usually just like chop and I'll put it right in the ground. And I take my chicken and bust it and put it right in the ground.
We got like 5 minutes.
The chef always get the end. Let's talk like this. Okay, wonderful. So, but guys, thank you for coming in today. I'm sure that the next two classes are interesting. You're interesting, but the next two more.
We got a question in the back, right? In the back.
Oh, I'm back here. All right, in the front.
Yes.
Mhm.
What exactly is the difference between iodine and kosher?
Pretty much the way it's, broke down, basically. Kosher is a lot bigger crystals, and the iodized is those little bitty ones. So you can have. If you put, all right, the best way to say it is if you make popcorn and you put table salt on there, you can taste it. And then if you eat the wrong piece, then you're like, oh, a lot of salt was on there.
Right.
But the kosher is a bigger crystal, so you don't use as much, but you take the whole piece of it. You don't overdo it that much with it. Sort of simple, but that's just a low level of what it is.
One last thing.
Raise your hand. I help you.
Would you flavor the vegetables or would you flavor the grit?
The veggies. grits. The reason why I say not the grits, because I can take leftover grits and make something different with it, and then something different from that. But if you flavor it all with that, then you stuck with that flavor, and you gotta try to build upon that. And that's the whole point, like with the, oh, if I was at home, I could use the cheese grits, or I could do this, and with the Parmesan that stated, I still say, I would put the Parmesan in the grits, I would let them cool. And the next day when I'm about to use them, I would put the Parmesan that way, so when I fry it, it would make a crust over it. Right. You know, and so when you put this on top of the crust, you have the whole chef thing is you got something soft, something smooth, something crunchy. And that would be the cheese on top of what you just pan fried.
All right.
Sous chef did, I really did, honestly. I mean,
We got one question, and I know we got like 3 minutes, so then we got.
Because I never tried this out. But it was very good, and I will eat.
Yeah, and that was one thing we were hopeful, so I'm glad we were successful. Different, yeah. All right, so if I can get your attention, we're gonna wrap it up real quick, so thank you, Chef.
you pass the plate.
Whatever. We just did, I want to point out real quick, and the people online are looking at, so if you've ever been to myfitnesspal.com, it's a free app. They do, of course, have a paid version, but basically, if you put the ingredients of any recipe, it will give you a nutrition guide. And so we just showed how to do that. And like I said, when you get these, you'll be able to, I'm sharing the wrong. I think you guys are saying the right one. And then also too, I won't talk a lot about this. If you come back next time, we'll cover kind of what is plate cost. And so just real high level, I'll get more into it next class. But plate cost, a lot of times you'll hear people say like a family of 4 can eat for $8 a person or $2 a person. And really what that is they're saying that if I bought a tablespoon of olive oil, a cup of grits, and I made this recipe, this is what it would cost. Well, in the real world, you can't go to the store and say, just give me a tablespoon of olive oil.